I'm sharing my screen just because I've put up a few thoughts that I thought I would structure what I thought we can think about together in these 10 or 15 minutes. And it's really about some examples where I have done some ideation. It seems to be all the time. In fact, my aunt reminds me that as a child, I often asked my sister, shall we do? Shall we do? So there's always some idea brewing that had to be done. So a lot of the ideation that I've been involved with has been linked to actually doing things. And it seems to be, it's in the act of doing or needing to do that ideas seem to just fuse with this desire to solve problems or communicate or express oneself. It's a very agentic mode of thinking. Ideation, it's not daydreaming, I feel. In fact, my ideation is often very purposive. And it's linked to problems that I'm trying to solve that seem to kind of need some kind of doing. And I thought I'll just speak to you about some ideas that I've tried to think about, work with in how to get students involved with academic texts and academic concepts. I mean, that's a lot of what I do in higher education. I work with students in the postgraduate level, getting them to get excited about concepts that excite me, but also needing to own those concepts, and make it a part of your thinking. And I thought I'll share some ideas around that. This whole question of the discussion forum and making it work as an active, interactive space. Some ideation that kind of helps me write a paper, and maybe if we have time, ideating around focusing field intervention plans. So let me just put out some experiences, thoughts, or ways in which I think about this whole business of ideation. And it does often seem to be linked to problems that I'm kind of encountering, or at least which form in my mind as things that I want to solve. But also thinking about what is solvable in the problem. Because sometimes I feel that problems are very, very large or complex, and not all aspects of problems equally are solvable. So it might be an education quality question, but if you pose the problem as a problem of education quality, sometimes it's just too vast and big to wrap your head around. So it's often trying to figure out what part of the problem is solvable with the tools that one has in hand. At the same time, thinking, is it significant enough that it is worth doing without being so big that it may take too long or just maybe too difficult to grasp? But at the same time, small so that it's manageable, but not so small that it stops being important to solve. So I think finding the balance on the size of the problem that one wants to grapple with to solve is often also, I think, something which goes on in my mind as I'm wrapping my head around the problem. And thinking about how do I know that my solution or strategy or idea is working? So kind of being all the time alert to ensuring that the idea actually is addressing the issue on hand and not losing sight, not getting so excited about my idea that I lose sight of the original problem that the idea was meant to address itself to. Not that it's an end in itself. Sometimes problems are more like to trigger ideas, and then ideas seem to have a life of their own. But at the same time, a reality check or connecting back with the world is something that I often find important in thinking through. So ideas form and they have to be given shape. They often have to be put down, pen to paper, being written up or being talked about and explained to another. And I have often found that it is only in the act of developing that idea that it actually kind of its quality, its texture actually begins to open up and make itself available for design. And I'm saying it's really important, I find in my experience, to put an idea down on paper. Because in the act of writing it up or visualizing it itself, its quality and features begin to actually emerge. And no idea, no matter how good it is, when you think about it, actually can be worked out entirely in the mind, at least not for me. I find that I need to objectify it and put it out there so that I'm able to look at it with some more objectivity in relation to the issues that I'm trying to get this idea to address. And especially in the recent past, I've come to value I've come to value having conversations around the idea. I should admit that when I initially, maybe it was a part of extended adolescent, I thought that I could work ideas out on my own in my mind. But I've increasingly come to appreciate how important having conversations is, because actually working out an idea is like a conversation. And it stimulates the formation of that idea, and it also stimulates that idea getting translated it. So just the act of explaining seems to stimulate the formation of the idea. And so this drafting and redrafting is really very, very important in developing an idea.